What's up, guys? It's your girl, Royal Vybz. And today, in this segment of Footprints, we're going to talk about mourning in sense of mourning a loss, you know, because this year we've experienced many losses due to the COVID-19. And I have family members who have been affected by COVID-19, been infected by COVID-19. I don't know anyone immediate in my family that has passed away from COVID-19, but we had a near miss with my uncle. My uncle was in a very bad state, and my mom helped out significantly with coaching him back to health and getting him back on his feet. But it's still, the COVID-19 took a hard blow on everybody this year, and we faced a lot of losses. You know, I lost people this year. I've lost a couple people this year, actually, and the ironic thing about it is it wasn't COVID related, so that's what makes it even more heartbreaking. You know, I have close friends and family who have lost people too. A very dear friend of mine's lost somebody so close to her, and you know, God willing, I was there that day to help her get through that. And like I said, I faced a lot of loss actually throughout my lifetime, so I felt like it would be nice to share how I've gotten through the process and let you know what things are okay, you know, because obviously everybody knows there's the stages of grief. I don't believe there's 5 stages of grief, you know. I believe first and foremost, you should always allow yourself time to mourn in your own way. You know, there's no, and then there's also, they say you go through the stages of grief, but in no particular order. I do agree that if there is a whole set of stages, I do believe that there's no particular order that you'll go into the stages of grief. Every death hits you different dependent on what it is. I've lost my father. I've lost uncles, aunts, my grandfather. All of this is, a lot of these things are recent. My cousin, my best friend cousin that killed me, losing him, you know. My daughter, I lost my daughter. All of these things hit me differently. Some of them I was able to just take a breath on and be okay about and get over. It initially hurts to hear the loss. I've lost cousins too. Yeah, it's crazy. And all of these things, like 9 times out of 10, the losses come back to back too. So I didn't have time to mourn one loss before I had to start the mourning process on another loss. So a lot of these losses hit differently because of the way that, you know, or the time period that I lost these people in between each other. It's phenomenally and crazy. And I always say, don't apologize for reminiscing and crying and coping and talking about your loss. Talk about it as much as you want for how long you want. Everybody says that to mourn a loss, once you're able to talk about it without crying, you know you've completed your mourning process or moved on from the hurt of that process. Yeah, so I know people that talk about their losses so much, which is great. If you sometimes talking about it with someone, a perfect stranger even, has just helped, you know, or talking to somebody else who mourned a loss or has experienced loss before, it helps talking to other people about those things. It gives you a sense of relief to understand the feelings that you're feeling are normal, you know, feelings for people that have lost things. So sharing and talking and crying and coping whenever you want to, no matter how long it takes or how far down the road it takes, it is. I don't see any problem with that. So don't apologize or feel like you should owe anybody an explanation for talking on someone you lost, talking about someone you lost and reminiscing on things. And understand that this is the way of life, the forces of nature at work. You know, everybody has a life cycle. We're not promised our next day. We're not promised to see people the next day. So I'm so grateful for every day. I wake up every day and I thank God for allowing me to go to sleep and wake up every day when some people are unfortunate. You know, if you believe in any higher power, have any spiritual belief, definitely confide in, you know, who you believe in to find release and comfort in that loss as well. And it's okay to not be okay. Like I said, loss hits differently. So some days you're going to be perfectly fine. You're going to feel great. And then something might hit you that reminds you of the loss or the person you lost. Prime example, When I lost my cousin back in, I want to say April or May, because his birthday's coming up too. His birthday's coming up in the next couple days. I lost him, and he's my best friend cousin, so it just feels so surreal. That loss feels so surreal, and it feels like he's still here. So sometimes I'll still feel the need to want to text or call him or send him a funny meme, you know. And then that makes me sad, because I could probably go throughout the whole day and be so happy, like, and then all of a sudden a thought comes to mind. I'm like, oh, I'm going to tell this person, and he's not here. I can't tell him. If I text that number, it's going to be to a random person they're not going to know or understand. If I send a message to his in social media, he's never going to open it. So it hits me every now and again, and it sucks. It just sucks. You got to come to accept and understand when it's okay to move on too. But never, you don't have, that's not meaning you're forgetting that person. That doesn't mean you're betraying that person. I know in a lot of cases, especially in when you lose a spouse, the spouse sometimes has guilt when they get over the mourning process and want to move on with their life and find interest in getting into another relationship and stuff like that. So I know that applies a lot to that, and then you'll feel like that remorse and feel like, oh, you're forgetting that person or replacing that person. You're never going to forget or replace that person. That person holds a piece of you in your heart, you know, like you're obviously hurting and mourning them because you feel deeply for that person. So another thing I wanted to, you know, say is accept the help and love given to you, and, you know, take some time to yourself, but don't take too much time. And let me break that down. When I mean take time to yourself for that, don't feel like you should ever have to apologize to go on long walks, or not have to, or you don't feel like talking on the phone and calling and texting people. Definitely give yourself time to process things mentally in your head before you have to interact with people too much, you know, because sometimes it gets overwhelming when you're trying to deal with a loss and then still have to accommodate regular life. So it's okay to take time to yourself. Just try not to take too much time where it's dragging down your progress in life, you know, and moving forward with your life. So take your time, but not too much time. That's how I mean with that. Another thing, a friend brought this up to me, actually. She gave me this scenario. She said that so I'm just going to give you guys a little story that she gave me and then explain something about that. So she has a friend who just lost her girlfriend, or ex-girlfriend. She lost her ex-girlfriend. Her ex-girlfriend held a deep figure in her heart. The relationship didn't work out, but nevertheless, she still cared for the person. They just didn't work out relationship-wise, and they kept a good friendship. And she let the girl know that, you know, I have a new girlfriend and stuff like that, so she couldn't interact with her as much, you know, to keep a good friendship, close friendship, you know. So then, yeah, like I said, her ex passes away, and then she's posting all over social media and how much she misses her, and she's mourning the loss over social media. This happens, it's common, and that's why I say, you know, don't apologize for reminiscing and crying and coping on the person you lost, especially when you just lost the person. So, and as a response, the girl that she's currently dating, you know, is being so dismissive and kind of rude about her mourning loss and love for that person, how much she's, you know, sharing on social media about her feelings for that person. But she just suffered a death, you know. So I understand the jealousy issue of being the ex-girlfriend, but nevertheless, you as the current girlfriend should be able to be there for that person. You know, I have a friend, a family member who was friends with one of my best friends, and my best friend passed away. He was in a relationship at the time too, and he was very upset by her loss for a couple days. And the new girlfriend was okay and understanding and supportive as ever. But that's why I'm saying, don't apologize for reminiscing and crying and coping and expressing your feelings and your love for that person, however way you do it, whether it be on social media. Oh, well, if people are annoyed by your millions of posts about reminiscing on a person, then they can go ahead and stop following you. That's not a good influence to have around when you're in mourning. and make sure you're surrounding by people that are understanding of your loss and how you're feeling and how you're coping with the process and can help you with coping with the process. So that's my little, talk on mourning a loss. I just wanted to be able to share that this week, to go side and side with my story that I gave out last week in regards to my times coping with losses. I've coped with numerous losses. So last week I shared a story about my father saving me prior to losing him when I was younger. But I do hope this helps everybody this year that's going through any mental struggles, depressions, or have lost anybody recently and is still coping and mourning. It's okay. It's going to be okay. The person that you lost is in a way better position because they're not in pain. And that's what matters. So that's the takeaway on that, Well, that's everything, guys, for this week. Next week, we have another story time coming up for you. Make sure you guys tune into my podcast too, Royal Chambers. I drop a lot of great information, self-help talks, motivational talks, life coaching on that podcast. It's just my little hidden gem. All links are in the description box below. Definitely follow me on Royal Vybz Network. That way you guys can request any particular topics that you want to hear on Footprints, on Winding Hour, on Royal Chambers, or any ideas you want Lilo to put on his channel. His channel is in the link below as well. Make sure you guys subscribe and support the little man. But definitely tune in this week with us for a pre-recorded Winding Hour coming up on Sunday. And if that is everything, pretty much. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe if you are new to the Royal Kingdom. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification button so that you can know whenever we upload a video. Leave any comments down below of tips on how you've mourned a loss or any information you want to share on mourning a loss. I definitely want to hear back from the kingdom on that. But always do the most, be the most, and stay extra. Be patient with yourself and others in the mourning process. Bye.